They'll never admit it, but every woman carries two faces. One the world sees, and one she hides even from herself. The first smiles, posts, comforts, loves. The second? It whispers in the dark, jealous, calculating, craving validation, terrified of being invisible. And no matter how polished her image looks, that hidden version is always watching, always hungry. Women don't want people to know that much of what they do isn't about confidence, it's about control. That the perfect selfie isn't just beauty. It's a signal, a quiet hunt for reassurance that she still has power. That behind the words "I'm fine" lives the fear of being replaced, forgotten, outshined by someone younger, softer, more exciting. They'll never tell you how often they test people, how they drop small emotional traps to see who stays, who chases, who breaks first. How they'll say, "I don't care," but check your reaction 3 times while pretending they didn't. How silence isn't peace. It's a weapon sharpened by patience. And here's the secret most men never see. Many women don't compete for love. They compete for attention. Because attention is currency. It feeds the ego the way oxygen feeds fire. The one who gets noticed feels alive. The one who doesn't starts to disappear. That's why even women in happy relationships still need the world to look at them. Still crave the small hit of power that comes when eyes linger just a little too long. They don't want people to know that kindness can be strategy. That sometimes sweetness isn't innocence. It's influence. That tears can be real and manipulative at the same time. That the same lips that say, "I just want peace," can stir chaos when they feel ignored. Women are not simple. They are layered, strategic, emotional, and brilliantly aware of how perception works. They know that people believe what feels good, and they use that knowledge, consciously or not, every single day. But maybe the darkest truth is this: beneath every illusion of strength, there's a quiet exhaustion. Because maintaining perfection, playing roles, reading everyone's emotions before speaking your own, it's a kind of cage. And even when they win the attention, the admiration, the power, many of them lie awake wondering if anyone would still love them without the mask. That's the secret women don't want you to know. It's not that they're flawless. It's that they're afraid you'll see how much effort it takes to seem that way. You think she's calm, collected, unbothered. But every woman, no matter how composed she looks, has moments where her confidence is hanging by a thread. She'll walk into a room and scan every other woman before she breathes. She's not competing with them for you. She's competing with them for herself. For that fleeting reassurance that she still matters, still stands out, still wins the invisible game that no one admits exists. They don't want people to know how much comparison eats at them. Social media made it worse. Every scroll is a quiet self-attack. Her skin looks better, her body's tighter, her man's more successful. They'll double tap, comment beautiful, then feel that sharp sting of inadequacy and bury it under another filter. What looks like empowerment is often camouflage, a way to cover the constant ache of not enough. They'll tell you they love independence, and they mean it, but only partly. Because independence without admiration feels empty. A woman can build her empire, buy her own house, travel the world, yet still ache for someone who sees her. Not for what she does, but for who she hides underneath the performance. They say they don't need validation, but the truth is they crave recognition. Not from everyone, just from the one person they wish would notice. And they'll never admit how emotional control is often a performance too. That calm tone in an argument is not peace, it's pressure building behind a mask. That "do whatever you want" doesn't mean freedom. It means she's watching how much you'll risk losing her. Women test love through silence, not through words. They want to know, will you chase what you can't hear anymore? They also won't tell you how often they pretend not to care just to keep the upper hand. How they replay your messages, rewrite what they should have said, rehearse detachment like it's survival. Because in their world, whoever feels less wins. And maybe the cruelest truth of all? They envy the freedom men have to simply exist without explaining themselves. To be flawed and forgiven. To be messy and still desirable. Women learn early that everything they do will be judged. How they dress, speak, love, age. So they adapt. They master illusion. They become whoever the world needs them to be, until even they forget who they were before the performance began. That's what women don't want people to know. Not that they're manipulative or cold, but that half their strength is born from fear. Fear of being unseen, unheard, or unloved once the act drops. And deep down, every woman is just trying to find the one place where she doesn't have to pretend anymore. What no one tells you is that the mask eventually becomes the face. A woman can spend years pretending to be okay, pretending to be in control, pretending that she doesn't care, until even she forgets where the pretending ends. That's the hidden exhaustion behind her calm smile. You see confidence. She feels fatigue. You see grace. She feels the weight of every unspoken word she's ever swallowed to keep the peace. Women don't want you to know how much they hold inside because they've learned that vulnerability often costs them respect. The moment they show pain, people label them emotional. The moment they show strength, people call them cold. So they walk the razor's edge between being too much and not enough. And no matter how carefully they balance, someone always tells them they're falling. There's a reason why some women seem mysterious. It's not because they're hiding secrets for fun. It's because every time they told the truth, someone used it against them. So they learned to keep quiet, to protect themselves with silence, to weaponize mystery because honesty only made them easier to hurt. And so when she says, "I don't talk about my past," what she really means is, no one handled it gently enough to deserve hearing it again. But beneath all that armor, there's something even darker. A quiet resentment toward how much they give and how little they receive. They nurture, comfort, listen, forgive, often for people who never ask how they're doing in return. They keep everyone else's emotions alive while slowly suffocating their own. And when they finally break, the world calls them dramatic. Women don't want people to know that sometimes they crave escape from their own goodness. That part of them wants to stop being the caretaker, the fixer, the emotional backbone. That part of them wants to be selfish, reckless, desired for no reason, free from expectations. But they can't say that because the moment they do, they're told they've lost their femininity. And here's the paradox. The more a woman hides, the more people admire her mystery. They praise her composure, her poise, her strength, never realizing those are just survival mechanisms polished into art. Her perfection isn't confidence. It's discipline born from fear, and her silence isn't peace. It's the only way she knows how to stay safe in a world that keeps asking her to be everything at once. That's what they don't want you to see. The cost of the image. The price of being the woman everyone admires but no one truly understands. Here's the part no one ever says out loud. The performance eventually breaks them. You can't spend years being what everyone else needs and still remember who you were before you started pretending. That's the quiet tragedy behind so many women's eyes. The world applauds their strength, their composure, their endless ability to forgive and adapt, but never asks what it costs. And when the mask finally cracks, everyone around them acts shocked. She seemed so happy. Of course she did. She had to. What women don't want you to know is that many of them carry a loneliness so deep it doesn't even feel like sadness anymore. It feels like routine. They go through their days surrounded by people, constantly connected, yet profoundly unseen. They're praised for being reliable, patient, kind, all the traits that make life easier for everyone else but harder for themselves. Because the more dependable a woman is, the more invisible she becomes. The world keeps taking from her, assuming she'll never run out. They don't want you to see the quiet resentment that comes from always being the strong one, the one who never breaks, never complains, never needs saving. Because if they ever dare to stop holding everything together, the people who depend on them crumble. So they keep going exhausted, smiling, pretending it's fine. You call it resilience. They call it survival. And there's something darker still. Women learn to weaponize softness, not because they want to manipulate, but because softness is the only language the world listens to from them. They'll cry instead of shouting, withdraw instead of confronting, because directness gets them labeled difficult, angry, or crazy. They've learned that being gentle gets them further than being honest. So they smile through disrespect, compliment through discomfort, and say, "It's okay," when it isn't, just to avoid being dismissed. But that quiet compliance comes with a price. Over time, They stop expressing what they truly feel. They edit their emotions before anyone else can. They shrink themselves into what's acceptable. And when they finally explode, it's never sudden. It's the result of 1,000 tiny moments when they chose peace over truth. Here's the part that makes most people uncomfortable. Women also carry shadow desires they'll never confess. The urge to feel wanted beyond reason. The thrill of attention they'll publicly reject but privately crave. The fantasies of freedom, chaos, rebellion. Every woman, no matter how kind or gentle, has a side that's wild, not evil, just untamed. And it terrifies her how much she loves it. Society tells her to suppress it, relationships demand she hides it, and religion shames her for even feeling it. So she buries it deep, smiles politely, and lives half alive. That's why so many women chase transformation. The haircut after heartbreak, the new job, the solo trip. It's not vanity, it's resurrection. Every major change is her trying to remember the girl she used to be before she was trained to apologize for existing. And here's the truth they really don't want people to know. Women aren't looking for perfection in others. They're looking for safety to stop performing. The man she wants isn't the richest, the tallest, or the strongest. It's the one who makes her feel she can finally exhale. The friend she trusts isn't the one who praises her, but the one who lets her be unlikable for 5 minutes without withdrawing love. The life she dreams of isn't glamorous. It's quiet, real, where she doesn't have to hide any part of herself to be accepted. So next time you see her smiling, don't assume she's fine. Understand that behind every calm face is a storm she's been taught to silence. Behind every confident pose is 1,000 insecurities she'll never admit. And behind every "I'm okay" is a woman who's trying to remember what it feels like to be truly seen. Not for how well she performs, but for who she actually is when the world stops watching. That's what women don't want people to know. That the real them isn't flawless, mysterious, or untouchable. The real them is human, raw, brilliant, terrified, beautiful in the most fragile way. And all they've ever wanted is for someone to see that version and not look away.